Right, welcome back to Hardball. I'm Mika Brzezinski sitting in for Chris Matthews. Are you now playing the president, Harold Ford Jr.? You're not choked with anger, are you? All right, that was President Obama yesterday with anger growing over the AIG bonuses. Could the president be the one who takes a hit politically? We're going to ask that question. Here, take a look now at Missouri Senator Kit Bond this morning fanning those flames.
I'm quite frankly a little surprised to see the president and his Treasury Secretary so outraged by these bonuses when they had the opportunity to prevent them before they gave AIG the latest installment of taxpayer dollars.
Okay, with us now, New York Congressman Peter King, a member of the Financial Services Committee, and former Tennessee Congressman Harold Ford Jr., who's an MSNBC political analyst and a public policy professor at Vanderbilt University. Okay, you heard Kit Bond. Kind of have to say, Harold, and Peter King follow up, it does seem like he's capitalizing on a political opportunity here. There's not a big surprise with these bonuses, and they certainly are not the first to come along.
I think two things. First of all, I think you're right. This has been not a great day and not a great answer for the White House. In fairness to them, though, they appointed someone who they thought would handle this matter, and he didn't, and Mr. Liddy. If I were advising the White House, I'd advise him to relieve Mr. Liddy of his duties. To consider putting in an elder statesman there.
You know,
AIG.
the government put Liddy in there.
I know, but I would remove him from his duties, but he's government appointed. I would appoint someone else, allow them to begin the orderly unwounding of some of these positions that AIG is involved in. And then I would consider appointing sort of a TARP institution compensation committee. 3 people of unimpeachable integrity, a Colin Powell, a Jim Baker, an Alice Rivlin, people of that nature, of that stature, who would not have to give consent for bonuses that these institutions would provide, but would certainly bring about the transparency that so many in Congress want and the country wants in terms of bonuses that these institutions provide or payment they provide to their top executives. And 2, they would be able to recommend if performance was the driving factor here and not just contractual duties, which we see with AIG.
Peter King, where do you stand on these? Because I got to tell you, everyone's outraged, everyone wants the money back, but these were bonuses that were promised by contract, I believe, over a year ago before the first bailout.
Yeah. Well, first, let me wish my good friend Harold Ford a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Same to you, brother.
Aren't you nice with their green ties? Okay.
Okay, and going from there's always going to be a certain amount of politics involved. Should people have known? Yeah, I'm sure they should have. For instance, Tim Geithner was there back in September. He's had a 6 months head start on this. The fact is, a lot was thrown at Congress, a lot was thrown at the administration, both the last administration and this one, and there are going to be big mistakes made in any startup operation. And I think the Obama administration being on the spot now is going to take a certain amount of hits for this. Having said that, we have to be careful not to overdo the politics, because all of us have to be in this together. I think what Harold's saying is could well be the right procedure to get people in there who are going to manage it from here on in, because if Democrats are going to keep saying that Paulson and Bush were the ones responsible back from September, and we're going to say it's Geithner and the Democrats, we're going to end up losing all the faith of the American people. So yeah, we as Republicans are entitled to take a few shots, but let's get beyond that as quickly as we can and try to get it rectified.
Well, there's a lot of outrage going around, a lot of demands going around. Get the money back, we'll tax them, maybe we can get them to give it back when the next bailout, the president chiming in about that. Here's what Larry Summers said today to CNBC's Steve Leisman on that issue.
We're not going to just abrogate the law. We're not going to abrogate contracts. We're not going to do things that would put the whole economy at risk, but we're going to be as creative and as energetic at addressing this situation as we can. Okay,
so if I'm defining abrogate perfectly, Harold, doesn't sound like they're on the same page.
Well, here's the challenge the White House has. They're trying to gain buy-in from the private sector for a number of different things they want, from the TALF, which would cause the private sector to play a role along with the public sector in buying up some of these assets and providing credit to the system. If you're breaking contracts, if you're a private sector player, why would you engage in an agreement with the government to invest alongside or to be willing to put private capital at stake if the government's not going to fulfill their contractual duties? I trust Congress will get this done, and the president will get this done. The question is, where do you go from here, and how does the president maintain enough credibility to go back to Congress to ask for more resources to help the financial system recover as a whole?
Darn right, those are good questions. Peter King, should Congress, should the White House be getting those contracts to be broken?
Congress should find a way to do it, or the administration should lean on them in a way to get it, to have it done. But it should be done in a way that does not, as Harold said, scare off the business community. Because we have to be partners with the business community into the foreseeable future. And for instance, as far as the tax issue, I'm not certain we can do it by 100% taxation. I don't know if that has the indicia of a bill of attainder or ex post facto law. I know it's civil, but still, it raises issues when we've had 6 months. As you said, the government's known for 6 months, and now after the fact, we're going after them tax-wise. I would hope that AIG would realize that this should be done in a voluntary way, and it can be worked out in a way that gets the job done, but also does not scare off the private sector. Because if the government's at war with the private sector, you know, we could win the battle today, but lose the big war.
And Harold, the private sector has the right to make decisions like this, just not in retrospect, which I certainly have a problem with. I think now forcing these people to give the money back, especially if you look at exactly how they've been handed out, some of them are very small bonuses that certain insurance company employees are depending on, and we're promised. Having said that, in tough times, a lot of companies are saying, you know what, we promised you a bonus. Sorry, we can't do it. And by the way, we need you to take a week off without pay. And you know what? We need you to do this because we need to stay afloat. Otherwise, we shut down. Your choice. That's what's happening out there. Why couldn't that have happened at AIG?
Those are great questions, and I think Peter says it well. A lot was thrown at President Bush and Secretary Paulson. A lot has been thrown at President Obama and Secretary Geithner. I hope saner heads. I hope Peter is one of the leaders. Congressman King is one of the leaders in this reconciliation effort there in the Congress. But going forward, there are going to be many more battles. My concern is how do you put in place the infrastructure and architecture to ensure we don't face these problems going forward.
Well, Harold Ford talks about reconciliation effort here with AIG. Looking ahead, Peter King, it sounds to me like these people have bullseyes on their backs, and the money is going to be taken away from them because everyone is, quote, outraged. Doesn't seem fair.
And, well, that's probably what is going to happen ultimately unless we can arrive at a negotiated settlement in the meantime. And that's why I would hope that AIG can find a way to resolve this. Not that I'm not concerned about AIG per se, but it is the business community, and we don't want to be at war with them over the next several months. And what happened, I think, with these bonuses, I think there is outrage. This was the tipping point. You know, it always comes, when you're talking about billions and trillions of dollars, there had to be a moment when the tipping point came, and it came with these bonuses. It could have come 2 weeks ago, could have come a month ago, but it's come now.
Gosh, I had a tipping point when I saw bonuses getting slipped through before a company went under. I thought that was kind of outrageous, but I don't know.
I think you're right. Actually, that was more outrageous.
80% of the company, 80% of this company is owned by the taxpayers. This should have been handled differently and better. But as Peter said, there's so many big issues this Congress is going to have to confront, mainly with a financial recovery package, which will probably include the TALF facility that Secretary Geithner is talking about. You got to get on the same page here. And again, I hope Peter's a leading voice in all of this.
Well, he may be. And Congressman Peter King, thank you very much. Harold Ford Jr. as well.